This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Curaleaf, one of the nation's top multi-state cannabis operators with 49 local dispensaries, 14 cultivation sites, and 13 processing facilities, serving up more than 165,000 registered medical marijuana patients. Check them out over at curaleaf.com, spelled Curaleaf. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, October 9th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 815 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We kick off today with news that California-based multi-state cannabis operator MedMen is calling off its previously announced all-stock $682 million acquisition of fellow marijuana company PharmaCann. MedMen announced the deal to buy PharmaCann at the end of last year, and CEO Adam Bierman was talking about the importance of the acquisition to his company just a month ago. But in announcing the scuttling yesterday, MedMen said that it would instead focus on building out its operations in California, Florida, Illinois, Massachusetts, Nevada, and New York. At the same time, the company said it was replacing its chief financial officer, Michael Kramer, with chief corporate development officer, Zeeshan Hyder. Hyder will be MedMen's third CFO in as many years. Pop over to Marijuana Business Daily for more detail and background on this. Popping up to Canada, we have another soured cannabis deal, with Toronto-based marijuana company Aleafia Health saying it was canceling a cannabis supply agreement with marijuana firm Aphria because Aphria was not able to provide as much supply as needed. Last year, the companies agreed that Aphria would sell Aleafia up to 385,000 pounds of marijuana over 5 years, with the first 55,000 pounds or so to be delivered between May of this year and April of next. According to Matt Lamers over Marijuana Business Daily, Aleafia CEO Jeffrey Bennick said in an August earnings call with investors that Aphria was already having problems meeting the required numbers. The split isn't quite finalized yet, as their contract requires the two companies to try to work things out for the next 30 days, so we'll see how the chips actually land in about a month. Matt's story has more on this if you need it. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Our final top story broke yesterday as Montana Governor Steve Bullock announced that his state was joining the vape ban wagon. That's ban, not banned, and imposing a temporary halt on e-cigarette sales that will run from October 22nd through February 19th. The ban covers all flavored e-cigarette and vaporizer products. And just like we've seen in other states like Massachusetts and Michigan that have enacted similar bans, state officials are conflating the issues of the more than 1,000 hospital cases involving the use of mostly illicit market THC vaporizers and the issues of teenagers using legal nicotine vapes. Prohibition does not generally work. Yet here we are. Those are the top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top multi-state cannabis operators with 49 local dispensaries, 14 cultivation sites, and 13 processing facilities, serving up more than 165,000 registered medical marijuana patients. Swing over to curaleaf.com, spelled Curaleaf, to check out the closest Curaleaf shop to you, because there's no better way to experience the Curaleaf difference than by making a visit yourself. You'll see right away the emphasis that Curaleaf puts on customer education, as well as research and development, as their three main retail lines are designed to cover the full legal cannabis spectrum, from Curaleaf medical marijuana through Curaleaf hemp and Yuku craft cannabis. Live life well with Curaleaf. And while you're over at Curaleaf.com, you can spend some time learning about Curaleaf the stock, now traded up on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol CURA. We're super happy to have Curaleaf as our exclusive multi-state cannabis operator sponsor here on MJ Today Media, and appreciate the support of everyone over at Curaleaf in helping make today's news possible. All right, time for the Blitz. We have a story out of Denver, Colorado that perfectly illustrates why the process of expunging marijuana-related crimes from people's records needs to be automated. Denver's Department of Excise and Licenses just issued a report that found that out of around 12,000 people who are thought to be eligible to have marijuana charges scrubbed from their records, just 441 actually have, or around 3.5%. If you put any kind of hoop up that everyone has to jump through to expunge their marijuana records, the fact is that most won't be able to, for various reasons, no matter how low the hoop is held. Expungement needs to be automated and automatic. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is holding a series of public meetings in her city to gather public feedback on plans to roll out a legal marijuana sales system. I reported on this before, as Mayor Lightfoot has announced that she wants to keep legal marijuana dispensaries out of large swaths of downtown Chicago, which seems counterintuitive for a city in reported dire need of new revenue sources. The first of 3 planned meetings was held last night, with the other 2 taking place today, October 9th, and again tomorrow on Thursday. Open up ABC 7 Chicago to see where those meetings will be held if you want to attend and to see Mayor Lightfoot's plans for the 7 distinct cannabis Chicago business districts. According to new numbers just released by the financial government, the number of banking institutions working directly with state legal marijuana businesses is up more than 60% over last year at 715 banks and credit unions. The numbers were gleaned from so-called suspicious activity reports that banks have to file with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN, anytime they encounter certain kinds of financial transactions. A newly released study by researchers at Washington State University, Stockton University, and the University of Utah looked at 2 decades of FBI crime statistics and ran analysis showing that the legalization of marijuana does not increase the rate of property and violent crimes, and in fact seems to have a depressive effect on the rate of burglaries. Researchers looked at Colorado and Washington in particular and tracked how crimes like aggravated assault and burglary changed as those states adopted legal cannabis. I think what they found can be best summed up by study co-author Professor Dale W. Willits, who said, quote, "I think it's pretty clear evidence that, at a minimum, the sky isn't falling," unquote. A good one to know and share. Chris Moore, who penned our previous story, picked up on another good study showing that medical marijuana can be effectively used to wean chronic pain patients off the use of opioid-based painkillers. The study out of Canada had more than 600 chronic pain patients take part who tapered their opioid use as they ramped up their use of medical cannabis. According to lead researcher Dr. Kevin Rod, the treatment plan was effective in helping 26% quit using opioids entirely, while around 55% were able to slash their use of pharmaceutical painkillers by around a third. 19% of study participants were unable to reduce their opioid use, which I think is important to note. Cannabis is certainly a wonderful drug, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily a wonder drug. Yesterday in Washington, D.C., a group of U.S. senators issued a letter to demand that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration release guidelines for how CBD products can be legally processed and sold. The effort was led by Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal and was supported by fellow Senators Patrick Leahy of Vermont, John Tester of Montana, Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, and Moscow Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. The letter read in part, quote, "It's now imperative that the FDA finalize and implement a comprehensive regulatory framework for CBD, including guidance on the classification, labeling, quality, marketing, and sale of CBD-containing products to ensure each manufacturer is producing safe and effective products for consumers," unquote. You can read the letter in full yourself over at Marijuana Moment. And finally for today, we have an editorial of sorts by our friend Adam Smith, a longtime industry activist and founding regular on our weekly podcast, Marijuana Today. Adam works in Oregon as head of the Craft Cannabis Alliance and has really taken the lead on pushing for the passage of interstate cannabis commerce. Oregon is known for growing a lot of marijuana, and Adam thinks it makes sense that other states should be able to buy it. Of course, there's a little matter of federal prohibition blocking any kind of interstate cannabis business, but that restriction won't be there forever, and Oregon made headlines earlier this year when it passed a law allowing it to engage in cross-state marijuana business just as soon as it's legal federally. Adam took some time to pen 5 reasons why cannabis should be legally allowed to move between states over at Mary Jane. Read this one. There's a lot of potential business down this road, as well as disruption galore. It's going to be a very big thing indeed when the ban on interstate cannabis commerce falls. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Curaleaf, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says, Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.